Good morning, Arizona and Colorado. This is Jason with the Patriot Trading Group. This is the Patriot Trading News Hour. Joe Jaquin is feeling a little sick and is unable to do the show today. So we got the couple of knuckleheads from Colorado, myself and Brian, and we're gonna have a pretty cool show. We're working hard on getting a deal set up. Silver and gold have been racing. I'm going to check here. Looks like let me refresh the screen. We got gold. Gold's down a little tiny bit, but it's sitting about 1538, 1537. Silver's up again today, 1845 per ounce. It's just been on a ride going up. There's definitely a lot of buying going on. There's a lot of movement upwards in the gold and silver markets. This is the show you listen to understand why you're supposed to buy these things, when you're supposed to buy these things. One of the things I always go back to, well, we don't sell rhodium every day. It's just something we don't sell. There's just not a lot of it available. But I like this as a story is one of the reasons that I trusted Joe and to jump on with him. Is the company's been around 23 years. They do it right. Obviously, a lot of gold and silver companies, they surface and then they die and they go away. It was also because they did poor business. They bought in too heavy. They ended up with a poor situation. But rhodium a couple of years ago, Joe came on the air and it was ridiculous. For some reason, it had dropped so far down that you could buy an ounce under $800. So Joe went on the air and he was able to get an allotment of rhodium and he sold it. Just to let you know what's been going on with just rhodium, if you would have bought when Joe was on the air, this show, telling you to buy this stuff, you would have to have more than $4,375. The spot price on rhodium is $4,375, with the premium probably being $100 or $200. You're looking at $4,600 to buy an ounce of rhodium. And Joe was on the air a couple of years ago saying, here it is. It's ridiculous. Buy it. And that's what we've been doing. My partner Brian and I were on the air talking about buying this stuff on a daily basis, just like Joe. I mean, if you would have simply did what Joe's told you to do, your $800 ounce of rhodium is essentially $4,500, $4,375 at spot today. Rhodium over the last 5 or 6 business days has had it went up 250 one day, 175 is what it went up today, and it had another day of 175 last week. So 3 of the last 5 or 6 or 7 days, those are 3 of the days it went up. It shows you that it's not gold or silver, but these metals are needed for industrial use, and they are precious metals. There's just not a lot of them out there. So this is what you want to do. This is what you want to get into. Brian, I'm going to let you take over for a minute. I got a phone call I need to grab, but go ahead, Brian.
Okay, Jason, thank you. Good morning, Arizona and Colorado, and wherever this transmission is reaching you. On our show yesterday afternoon, the Colorado Front Range Hour, it kind of dawned on me. To sum it up in a sentence. Patriot's mission, in my opinion, Patriot's mission is to get you the most product at the best price, flat out. Patriot's got to make enough to be able to continue to provide it to you. If we don't, then doesn't do you a whole lot of good. But I really kind of boiled it down in my mind to that mission, that it really is to get you the most product for the best price. And as Joe has said and Eric before, you can buy gold, silver, rhodium, precious metals, other places, but I'm not sure what their missions are. They got bigger staff. They've got people back calling people, bugging people. We don't do that at Patriot. All you customers, long-time listeners and customers know that by now, so I just wanted to kind of hit that up. Jason, are you back? Nope. Sounds like Jason's probably getting today's special, talking with Joe that whatever the creeping crud that's going around, we've had a little bit of it in my house as well here in northern Colorado. It's making its rounds now that school's back in session. The little petri dishes that the public schools seem to be, we don't have as much exposure to that, kind of being a rebellious homeschooling family that we are. But anyway, that's a different topic. And if you didn't happen to catch the Colorado Morning Show, that was it's not podcast, so you can't go back and listen to it. But if you did catch it, I thought that was some interesting topics that Jason was talking with one of our Colorado advertisers, our premier advertiser is Rod Brandenburg. But what's going on today? I haven't even looked at the news yet. I'm busy in my day job. I usually take a peek at Drudge Report and other places before now, but I'll wait for Jason I'll just keep going until Jason interrupts me. Let's see here what's happening on Drudge this morning. Financial. Oh, it looks like we got a hurricane making a beeline towards Florida. And as Eric would say, looks like there's some climate change happening, which the rest of us know is just weather. I hope that doesn't turn into a big deal. Comey roasted? That ought to be interesting.
I'm back, Brian.
Okay, I was just delving into some headlines here, but
so for you guys there in Arizona, but Brian and I haven't been on this show for a while. We haven't done this show, and just to let you know what goes on, the show is originates out of Colorado now, and then it's sent to Arizona. And one of the main reasons we haven't been doing the show from here is because I do the show from the broadcast booth. I actually do it from the control room, which is not the best way to do a show. And so Joe is down and sick, and I got Brian calling in, and it's got to be planned a little better most times. And if I have customers coming in, or I get phone calls to the radio station, I don't have an Arlene or a Wendy currently, so I don't have the ability to do my show unmolested. So if Brian,
you are also the Arlene and the Wendy.
Yes, yeah, and I'm I do the control room, and I'm broadcasting the show today. So you always got to, with a grain of salt, when Brian and Jason come on, give us a break. But hey, you want to order some gold and silver? Call the number 800-951-0592. We'll get something going for you after this break.
Welcome back and good morning to the Patriot Radio News Hour. No, this is not Joe. Your ears are not playing tricks on you or me. This is Brian with a Y, joined by Jason, the dynamic duo from Colorado. We do the Colorado Front Range Hour in the afternoons, Monday through Friday. If you haven't heard us, you may have caught previous shows that we've done. Jason, what do we got going on today? I know you were talking with Joe. Joe's not feeling so hot today, so any prayers and well wishes sent Joe's way would be appreciated.
Yeah. Well, and I said it before. Brian and I haven't had too many shots on the show recently because just mostly because we're just too busy. But yeah, we're sort of the black.
There may be other reasons too.
We're sort of the black sheep, you know. Glenn, our partner Glenn Biddle, gets to do the show once in a while. But yeah, we like to come out with stories like the leg tacos and things like that early on last year. But we also did the Titanic show and talked about how the Titanic may have been a 9/11 Pearl Harbor event where it was allowed to happen. And so we have fun when we get on Arizona, but yeah, I think sometimes there's a little question of what we're going to do. So
it's a little apprehension, a little oh dear.
Yeah, there's definitely a little worry. But you know, we do a good show. But that's something else I want to talk about. If you're listening in Arizona, you can go to 1360khnc.com. That's where the website is for the radio station here in Colorado. Joe's show is on every day. You can stream it in there. I'm sure you have your sources there in Arizona, but you can go there and listen to the other shows we've got. We've got this show called The Open Forum that comes on after Joe's show. It's absolutely a great show with different hosts every day and different content every day. Lots of good stuff there, but our show, which I really, it's definitely different than Joe and Eric. But Brian and I have been doing it for about a year and a half. We're getting a little. I think we're better. We're definitely better than we used to be. And hey, sometimes these Colorado guys have a leg up on you guys because we'll bring a special on the afternoon that wasn't available in the morning on Joe's show, and the Colorado guys eat it up. So you guys might want to go to 1360khnc.com there in Arizona and tune in. It's 3 o'clock our time. Currently, that's going to be 2 o'clock your time in Arizona. And I guess after Halloween, when the clocks change in Colorado, it'll be the same time. Our show will back up, and you'll be able to catch us at 2 o'clock your time, or it'll be 3 o'clock their time. 3 o'clock their time. It'll actually move forward, I think. So,
wouldn't it be nice to get rid of that chaos causing for what purpose? You know, I've heard arguments for and against the whole daylight savings time. What a waste of everybody's time and effort and energy.
Arizona's got it good over there. You guys got it good without having to switch your clocks twice a year. I know they're trying to put it on the ballot this next election to have Colorado just freeze the clocks and be done with it. So hopefully that little bit of wisdom might actually be a thing that the government might get right. Maybe we'll see.
You know what? I saw something a few months ago, Jason, that I think it was North Korea just decided to, I think, thumb the nose in everyone's faces. And I'm not admiring dictatorships, but I got to give credit where credit's due. They said, forget about it. They shifted their clocks a half hour, not 1 hour one way or the other. They shifted it 30 minutes and said, this is where we sit.
I love troublemakers. Here's the thing: is America doesn't have enough troublemakers anymore. You got to have troublemakers to shake things up and keep people awake, because America's turned into a bunch of cattle, man. They are just herded into one direction and they just go. And you're right. It's being in a dictator country. I don't know which country is that, Brian? I didn't hear.
I'm pretty sure that was North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah, with the man with the little button, as opposed to what Trump said his button was bigger.
Yeah, I don't think North Korea is a pleasant place to be, but that is a funny thing to do. Hey, it's North Korea, it's not us. Let them do. Let them do it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and that point, Jason, they got us. They don't know whether we're going, 6 ways from Sunday, coming or going. There was a meme on the Patriot Post by Rob Schneider, a pretty funny guy. Some of his movies are kind of dumb, but he plays some good roles every once in a while. But he had this quote: "If you turn off the news and just talk to your neighbors, you'll find that our great country is far more harmonious than you're being told." I saw it the other day. I thought that's kind of on point.
I like that. I'm not big into some of those comedy movies, but yeah, he's got a few funny moments. He did a movie for Netflix called The Ridiculous Six. Did you see that thing?
Oh no.
It's an old Western spoof of the Magnificent Seven, and very, very what I say, not good for radio topic matter, but it's funny that he's got this. He plays a guy with a sombrero, a Hispanic, but he's not Hispanic. He's white, but he thinks he's a Mexican, and he's got this burro. And as these guys start meeting each other, they find out they're all brothers from another mother, sort of thing. And he's got this burro that turns into a weapon. It's
secret weapon burro.
When it loosens its bowels, it shoots, and it usually hits the bad guys.
Good grief. That's more in line with, seems like, some of his comedy, but I have seen some better roles that I thought he played in.
You can do it, right? You can do it.
Yeah, he's an anchor point with what's that guy's name?
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler movies.
Yep, Adam Sandler. Yeah. So, the Saturday Night Live guys. Those guys had Saturday Night Live used to be a funny show you could actually watch, and after the 1990s. What little it was still good, it just went away completely. Now it's a propaganda, political, lefty tool.
Well, and you got people in the last couple of years like Jerry Seinfeld coming out, and saying that, he can't even do his kind of comedy, or he's got to be careful where he does it because of this madness or insanity that's being spread, infected. My opinion is the news isn't helping; they're propagating it. But these universities are just a cauldron of mental illness, whether it's pharmaceutically induced or teacher-induced mindlessness. But you see about some of these courses that can be taken at college universities. All I can say is, not my kids, not on my dime.
Yeah, people take stuff way too seriously, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to learn how to laugh at yourself. Life becomes a lot easier when you can laugh at yourself. But I think people if you're laughing at someone, that you're being bad, you're mean, and I guess to a certain extent that's true. But my gosh, at some point, people butt heads. There's a disagreement. There's somebody's a winner, somebody's a loser, and the best thing about losing is you learn how to not lose the next time a little more, right?
Well, and others have said it, Jason. I have limited participation in these social media platforms. Mine really extends to a little bit of texting, only because I have to, and email. But I think these social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook and all these technical avenues that allow individuals to engage in arguments, conversations, whatever, not being personally involved, they're able to do it from the confines of wherever they're at through their device, the safety of their device. I really got to think back that that's from a physical perspective, that's such a major contributor to all this, where people think they stick their nose in somebody's business online or through a smartphone or computer screen. That's one thing, whereas engaging someone face-to-face, they don't have it. It's a completely different experience, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
I mean, the reality experience is what it's supposed to be, yet they're given these opportunities to do it through their devices. I don't know if I believe that Satan is real. I believe that there is evil in this world, and I believe that these devices and technologies could be used for good, but Satan's right there using it as a wedge to divide all of us any which way he can, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, in some respects, if you get into the Bible and you start to look at Revelations, and Satan will come to the people and be this charismatic leader that nobody can deny, and sometimes I wonder if that is the TV,
Yeah.
The TV turning into the smartphone, and people, my son has trouble getting away from his smartphone. There's too many people talking and too many people to communicate with, and it's got
they know what
a
they're
hold
doing.
of him.
When they created this stuff, they knew what they were doing, creating all these the colors and the flashing and the I don't know I forget the terminology, but these proven mechanisms that our eyeballs and our brains react to, kind of like the bright lights and the sounds of people in Vegas. It's the same thing. They knew what they were doing when they created these things that way.
Absolutely.
The dopamine hit. That's I guess the technical term. My brain spins a little slower sometimes. But you know what? As far as the smartphone itself, Stanley Kubrick, the movie director that has since passed away, I heard someone, I forget who it was, describing how he knew all these things. It sounded like he was involved with some of this remote viewing, kind of the altered states of consciousness. He made the conscious decision, as it was reported, or as I was listening to it. He saw the evil stuff that these individuals, these elites, were doing with kids, with other adults, and he decided he wanted no part of that. But yet he still witnessed some of this viewing, remote viewing, if you will, is one way to describe it. But go back to the movie 2001: Space Odyssey and look at the shape of the obelisk at the very beginning that's sitting there, that shows up behind the apes or the monkeys that are getting along, and all of a sudden they start beating each other, killing each other.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at that. Doesn't it seem like it resembles the aspect ratio of our Portrait smartphone devices?
By the way, for you in Arizona there, I know Joe still hangs on to that it's probable that we landed on the moon. Brian and I, and especially I know for myself, just in the last couple of years, dealing with the new radio station and being an owner of Patriot Trading Group, have learned just quite recently. I studied into the moon landing. It's a complete farce. It did not happen. Stanley Kubrick, the guy that Brian's talking about here, he's supposedly the guy that filmed the footage. And if you look
it was presented to all of us.
Yeah, and a lot of the 2001 shots resemble very closely some of the moon landing shots. If you ever look into it seriously, you'll see so many things that just don't make sense. And it's, there's a lot of, you got to look at motives. The whole thing is, if you believe it's fake, well, what's the motive? Well, there was a Cold War going on, and you make the USSR spend tons of money on building nuclear weapons that were never going to be used, and you make them think there's a space race that's going to be the economic boom. Once you get there, there's going to be huge economic opportunities by getting to the moon, and nobody's physically able to get there in the 1960s, but the enemy thinks you're going to get there, so they spend all this money and time trying to beat you there.
Or like in the recent movie, not recent, but 20-year ago movie with Clint Eastwood and the other cast of characters, Space Cowboys. The prospect of putting nuclear warheads orbiting into space was would be quite the military advantage.
Yeah, the Star Wars defense system or something, right?
Yep.
I remember that. That was the Reagan years. It's funny. It's funny. You report something, whether it's true or fake, and how the response you get when nations are butting heads. But Stanley,
it's quite the clever strategy, if you will, to get the adversary to not only distract them on these different things, but get them to be pouring gobs and billions of dollars into these programs.
Correct. Yeah, and so all you guys out there, if you've not done a little bit of research, it's hard. You got to look because some of the sources, some of the actual videos and footage of some of these weird things about the moon landing that really show you that it makes you question A lot of that footage is hard to find. You can go look on YouTube and find it, but you have to look. You look for something that shows that the moon landing was fake, but it's when you call up something, you do a search. Sometimes it shows you 16 or 17 things of why it's real and how great it is, and you have to really look for the information. And for a lot of people, that'd be like, well, because we landed on the moon. It's that's the facts are the facts. Well,
I wasn't there. Were you there, Jason?
I wasn't there. I was not there. But I see footage like, for example, here, I'll give a couple points. There's footage of a guy hammering a post into the ground. Now, in a vacuum, there's supposed to be no sound. So when he's hitting it, it's making a thumping sound like you would driving a post into the ground. NASA said, well, that's because the sound was going through the arms of the suit and going up into the helmet where you could pick it up the microphone. Well, okay, but then there's another piece of footage in orbit where this guy is doing a spacewalk, and he's trying to put a piece of panel back in place, and he's using a large size power tool to put the thing back in place, and he's just drilling this bolt right into place with no sound at all going through the suit, which should have been much more noisier than just a single pounding on a nail.
What about the Super Bowl commercial where the guy has a little flatulence and the monster finds him when they're standing on the moon?
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative pro-family perspective since 1983 and continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Democrats are suffering a severe credibility problem with even their own allies. The hyper-partisan activities in the House and Senate are becoming so wacky that even the overlooking eyes of Democratic donors and the fake news media can't ignore the silliness. Congress is still suffering from the Mueller report letdown, scrambling to find any way to impede the work of the Trump administration. The House Judiciary Committee seems on a never-ending quest to find new conspiracies and new Trump associates to subpoena. They're even calling witnesses to talk about the now-closed Mueller investigation. More than beating the proverbial dead horse, they're attempting to exhume the poor animal's remains. One Democrat donor, BET founder Robert Johnson, is dialing back his support for his own party. A Hillary Clinton supporter, Mr. Johnson has gone on the record now to say that the Democratic Party is running far too much to the left for his tastes and for the values of most Americans. He's choosing not to support any of the Democrat candidates for president at this point. He even went so far as to praise President Trump for his job creating great economic conditions and opportunities. Johnson said, "I give the president a lot of credit for moving the economy in a positive direction that's benefiting a large amount of Americans." Sounds like Johnson didn't get the Democrat talking point, that the Trump tax cuts benefit only the wealthy. And in what seems nearly impossible to believe, the Washington Post questioned the credibility of Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar. The Post challenged a story Omar told to a high school group about her experience with racism in a courtroom years prior, when an elderly black woman was jailed for the weekend and heavily fined for stealing bread. Even the Post called that out as a copy of the famous story in Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. They challenged her, and Omar admitted to possibly confusing some of the details. The Post more than raised an eyebrow at her story and even took the opportunity to point out her past flubbing of basic facts. Democrats are running so frantically to the left, they're losing touch with their own allies, and it's certainly a sight to behold.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report with Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. These culturally relevant commentaries, along with videos, columns, and bulletins, are waiting for you at phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com. Plus, you can find, follow, and share our work on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for listening, and join us again for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Welcome back to the second half of the Patriot Radio News Hour on this Thursday morning, the 29th day of August. Where did August go? It's in the rearview mirror, if that's for sure. School, not right around the corner. School back in session. Our partner Glenn on the right coast, Professor Glenn, he's back in school teaching the little mushheads proper history, I believe is his topic, right, Jason?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's he tries to teach in a balanced manner, and at least I know this for a fact, he's teaching actual history, and he does U.S. history. He's actually teaching history there and giving the kids their own ideas of how to take the stuff he's teaching and take from it what he's he says many times on the air, he doesn't try to push his opinion. He tries to show everybody in his class the different sides of how you can view what the occurrences in history are, so that the kids can digest it and understand it in their own way. So
you got to teach content. Obviously, you can't do it contentless, but it sounds like he's trying to do what I think is a lost art anymore, and that is teaching kids how to think, how to analyze different aspects of things, and in his case, historical events.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Obviously he's in a liberal system, the school system, so there's only so much he could really do, right?
True. But give him credit for swimming, whether it's upstream or sideways against the current. Hey, how about a look on the markets today, Jason? Looks like I'm switched over here into commodities.
Yeah, well, I was checking gold. I refreshed. Gold is about flat right now. I got it at even. It's about 1538. I mean, it's amazing. Gold last year was $11.74 on August 16th,
wow.
Up 30%. Silver's up again today. It's 14 cents up. It's at $18.45 per ounce. On May 28th of this year, just 3 months ago. I mean, today is the 29th. So May, obviously June, July, August, 3 months later, it was $14.36 an ounce on May 28th. It's up $4.10.
Wow.
You're talking 30-something. I can't do the numbers in my head fast enough, about 32%, 33% in 4 months, or 3 months, excuse me. Absolutely, you need to take it seriously, because when gold eventually tests its previous high, it usually never goes back below that previous high. When gold hit a high of 800, it went down. When it broke past that, it went to 1050, and then it came back down. And every time it tests that previous high, it does go back down. But when it does pass that new high, it becomes the new floor. So $1,900 per ounce, that's what it hit in 2011. It won't be long, in my estimation, I would say sometime after the election. But it could, I mean, the way it's looking now, it could happen during the election cycle. But essentially, if it was just say Trump gets reelected and then the market dumps and it's going to have its crash, it's going to happen. I just think it may take a little bit longer to get there. Gold will go blowing past that 1900, and it will never come back below it. It's just the way it is. Gold's a commodity, right, Brian? And it's if we have inflation in this debt money system, that means it's never going to drop down below previous prices. We don't have deflation; we have inflation. If you think your bag of groceries or your car is going to be cheaper next year, then get rid of your gold. But if you think your bag of groceries and your car are going to continually get more expensive, that's where your gold and silver is going to go. That's why it's a hedge against inflation. It protects your wealth. This is what we do. This is why Brian and I joined up last year when Joe decided to open an office in Colorado, and it's been an absolute delight to try to build this radio station here in Colorado and build the Patriot Trading Group's customer base. We really get the gold and silver out to you guys.
Yep, and as you were, I think, taking Joe's call during the first segment, Jason, or second segment, whenever it was, I was pontificating something that kind of dawned on me yesterday, kind of a mission statement in my mind, how I see it. Patriots, one of our, if not our main mission, is to provide you, our loyal customers, with the silver, gold, platinum, whatever it happens to be, precious metals at the best possible price, and to make just enough so we can keep doing it. That's, I think, really, to boil it down, a mission statement.
Right. Yeah. That's spot on. I mean, I guess there's only so many ways you can tell people about gold and silver, but I guess you got to kind of take the advice from Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle, famous baseball player for the New York Yankees, he was questioned by in an interview as to why it seems like he comes out and plays harder and harder every day. It's like almost every day it seems like he's on his trying to play his best game. And where there are a lot of other baseball players, there's a lot of games. You play 162 games. You have a couple of off days, or even take days off and don't even you take a day off just like any job. Mickey Mantle answered, he's like, I don't know who's going to be sitting in the stands that's going to be seeing me play for the first time. And so when it comes to gold and silver, I try to always beat that drum and let I never know who's listening for the first time that doesn't understand gold and silver. Sometimes you got to do the regular, boring, old information of why you buy it and why it's good, and other times you kind of delve farther into it. Joe's got all the really good numbers and economic stats that really helps you dig right into the current status, the current climate of the gold and silver markets versus the regular paper markets. But sometimes you just got to go over the list of things, why you buy gold. Like, how about this? 6,000-year history. They've been using gold as money since Egyptian times. It's a store of value. Anytime you have a central bank and they're printing money and they print more and more money, your gold and silver goes up in value because you need more of those dollars to buy those metals. Long-term inflation hedge. I just covered that one, but basically saying that as governments can debase the currency, not even just to print, you can actually change the value of the currency. Well, whatever they change it to, gold and silver will follow what they're doing. Emergency money. What a great way to have an emergency fund. You put some of this away, and it's safe, just safer than a savings account. If you have a savings account, you're getting nothing there. How safe is it when some hacker takes it, or the government decides to have a banking holiday and change the currency? Well, if you got gold and silver, and I've had many customers come into Colorado here and say, hey, I just had hail. We get a lot of hail here in Colorado during certain parts of the season, and the guy needed the deductible to get his roof fixed. He came in, brought a couple ounces of gold, left out, and was able to get his roof fixed. So great for emergency money. So many basic and important reasons to own it. So,
well, Jason, we hear arguments, people that either want to lie to themselves or just don't understand the concept of gold, silver, and precious metals being a storehouse, basically being your own central bank. The lie about, well, my money is much safer in the bank, and you're one example there. It is safe in the bank until it's not, right?
Yeah, it's always safe in somebody else's possession until the person who possesses it decides to change the rules, right?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Coming up on the break, we'll be back. Stay tuned. The Patriot Trading News Hour. Your guest hosts, Jason and Brian from Colorado.
Welcome back. Your host, Jason and Brian here. That's Brian with a Y, Jason with a J. Guest hosting Joe's show, Patriot Radio News Hour today. Joe's a little under the weather, or should I say under the climate change. Little adding the Colorado flavor. Let's just say without the marijuana. That's not something that's Jason's or my interest, even though that's something our state has become known for. You know what, Jason? I heard a story that let's say a friend of my son's was traveling back to college in the Dakotas, and Colorado plates, late at night, driving back was a big target for the Wyoming State Patrol. Pull him over to see if he was what's the word, a mule, somebody that transports
a drug runner,
illegal drugs.
Yeah, drug runner using I-25. Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine to his surprise and probably to their surprise that he was just a country Colorado kid going back to school.
Hey, Wyoming's got the fireworks, and we've got the marijuana, so they got the two-way traffic going, right? You got people sneaking stuff into both sides, right?
Well, not only that, but we've got the closeted gay governor that I think correctly pinned it, Jason. Would it be interesting to find out down the road? Oh, he was really a straight guy. He was just posing as that as a ruse to get elected.
Yeah, Jared Polis. The morning show here had Rod Brandenburg on from Grandpa's Pond, and we were going over some Second Amendment stuff and an unfortunate story about a Loveland high school that's here in the Front Range, and the kid was suspended from school because he on a social network site he had posted a few pictures of some guns he was going to go shoot with his mom, and his mom and him went to a gun range and shot it. And I had Rod on there, and I didn't get the whole story from him. We didn't get to it, but there was a Jared Polis incident. He was doing something. He was at an event, and he was in a horse carriage or something. And as he was being wheeled through with the arena or whatever the event was, the chorus of boos was deafening, I guess.
Oh, no kidding.
There should be a video there, Brian. You might be able to find it for our show later today. But, yeah, it's apparently it's pretty hilarious. Just like the one you mentioned about, what was it, who's the socialist guy that hit himself in the head with the punching bag?
Bernie Sanders standing at a speed bag and it bounces back and slaps him in the face.
Yeah. So, I mean...
the life of a politician, the poor souls.
Oh, boy.
No, that makes sense, though, because if it was at some kind of a equestrian event or a livestock event, that makes sense that the majority of attendees would not agree with the extreme legislation that he keeps passing, that the legislature keeps putting in front of him here in Colorado.
Yeah, so, wow. I mean...
hopefully that we'll see what happens with the recall effort, and it's a major effort underway. I've been nagging my family, make sure if they're able to get to one of these locations and get signed up for the whole recall Jared Polis. What a accident waiting to happen.
Well, in Arizona, so if you're listening to us in Arizona, and we're Colorado, so Joe understands things, but he doesn't live here in Colorado, which is one of the reasons he really wanted Colorado natives to be here on air in Colorado. But if you want to know where you guys are headed, just watch Colorado. This used to be a red state, and there was much more of a conservative feel, and people just wanted to take care of themselves and not be bothered with too many other things. They didn't want to be molested by city and state laws.
Just leave us alone.
And that all that's changing across the country. But we are a blue state. We're not. For a while they tried to talk about how we're a purple state. We're half red, half blue. That's not true. In Arizona, you guys are going straight. I mean, I think Denver is a good precursor to Phoenix. I think Phoenix is changing very rapidly.
I think they know too, Jason, because they had how many years under John McCain that was supposedly a Republican, and as Bradley Dean says, today's Republican, yesterday's Democrat.
Exactly. By the way, if you are a customer or somebody trying to call a radio station, I'm on the air and I cannot answer the phones. I'll get you on a break, but that ain't gonna happen. Joe is out of commission. I mean, let's face it, buying a radio station and doing multiple radio shows and running the gold and silver business, there's a little stress there. Joe handles it very, very, very well. But I mean, you hear that? Do you hear this? These phones are ringing and ringing, and I'll tell you guys. Just give me a few minutes. I'll be off the air. I'll handle it in a little bit.
He'd be right with you.
Oh! It's my wife. Here, let me try. I'll take it. Hello, you're on the air. No, you're not on the air. But hey, go ahead, Brian. Yeah, let me take this.
Your half of it's on the air, Jason. Yeah, you know what, folks? I don't know. I got so many different distractions here. I look at the Patriot Post and they've got some interesting memes. It's a neat picture with a saying. I'm looking at one here that's got a bunch of thumbs up. That's saying the Democrats' new campaign strategy: let's have a recession, yay! It seems like Bill Maher, the HBO personality, keeps, at least in the past, has been pushing for that. He talks about what his preference is. He'd like for nothing better than to not have traffic on a California highway. And yeah, welcome to the real world. But
it's fun. It's funny how Brian. When I called Brian this morning, and I had called Joe this morning. We always have a call in the morning and try to figure things out. And Joe warned me yesterday he was not feeling good, and this morning he was worse. And so it's funny how everybody gets into the routines. My wife knows that this is the Joe show hour, but unless she's listening, so obviously she wasn't listening to the radio. She didn't know I was on the air. How could she know, right? But Brian, you were out in the field doing some stuff, and I was talking.
I was out feeding the chickens and the ducks. Yep.
I had to call you and say, hey, I could use some help. Let's do a show. So I don't know about you guys in Arizona. I know when I was a listener of Patriot Trading Group, I liked listening to any new material, even if it wasn't as good as the previous day. I like the new shows. It's just better to have a new show than to hear a repeat. I mean, I've always got the option here in the radio station. I could throw a repeat on at any time. But I always like listening to new material. Hearing the guest host, whatever. I thought it was always a cool thing. So that's what I'd rather do. That's why we're on the air. By the way, Joe's got some plans next week, Thursday and Friday. So we'll be more prepared. Brian and I will be on the air next week on Thursday and Friday at this hour, and hoping to have. We didn't get anything really good to sell. We didn't get a good special on today, which is unfortunate. I thought we were going to get something, but hey, there's always plenty of product to buy. So call 800-951-0592. We always got something sitting around, so give us a call and get yourself some gold and silver before prices continue to go up.
Yep, Arlene is in the office, so give us a call.
Final segment. This is the Patriot Trading News Hour here in Arizona and in Colorado. I guess it should be here in Colorado and in Arizona. The number to call to buy your metals is 800-951-0592. It is very interesting when you are owning and running a conservative and conspiracy station. You know, we covered stories here on KHNC that a lot of the other conservative stations won't go to because
just say non-mainstream is what we do.
Yeah, so I get phone calls. You've been hearing. I think you've been hearing during the broadcast. I've been getting a lot of phone calls. Let's see if I got this. I get some weird stuff, man. Brian, I'm gonna have you interpret this. I'm gonna play this. This is actually on hold on one of the lines. These are some calls I actually get regularly. Here we go.
What the heck is that? Is that an invitation to a Hindu festival?
I don't know, man.
Is there such a thing?
The call comes in, and that's what it is.
Weird.
Sometimes I get calls with the sounds of birds chirping.
What?
Sometimes I get like a sound of a fan blowing, and you can tell it's a recorded sound. But
well, I guess that's better than a heavy breather that doesn't say anything.
I guess it's better than a bomb threat, I guess. But
yeah,
still,
I guess.
But still, it's somebody.
Although, is that what that translates to? We are coming to take your wives and daughters.
I know. On my private phone, of course, you get the telemarketers and stuff, so you kind of expect some of that. But how many of you out there get a call with Spanish music or Hindu music? I mean, that is...
You know what, Jason? I have to let out a secret. On my my quote free webmail accounts, I do whatever I can to basically throw off the AI or the people that are trying to guess who I am and what I'm about. I'll come up with a Hispanic name to go along with my account, and just use like a 555-1212 number with the various area codes.
Right.
But part of my mission with this free stuff is to just, knowing how they're using it against us, is to throw as many monkey wrenches in their works as I can.
Yeah, you know what, and something that I like to do, if people, when they get telemarketer calls, now when I'm really busy, of course, telemarketer calls don't help. I have to hang up on them. But I always looked at telemarketer calls as kind of a mini opportunity. Because when I was a kid, I loved in the 1980s when I was a kid to let out a couple prank calls, call your friends or call people, and as a young kid, hey, is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. All that goofy crap when you're a kid. But when the telemarketer calls you, they're calling you. They're on your ground. You can do almost whatever you want because you're not causing trouble. They are. So
they started it.
Yeah. So I get guys that calls like, oh, we want to extend the warranty on your car, and they always do. They always ask me about the car that got totaled years ago. I had this Toyota Corolla that was totaled. I tell them, that car was totaled. Well, a couple calls later, they keep trying. Like, oh, hi, what car do you use now? So now I got to the point where I just tell them, I got a 1917 Model T. Do you extend some warranty on that?
Yeah, right. My dad, my late father, he had a similar honor streak. I think I've got a little bit, but not as much as he did. He'd get those telemarketer calls after he retired or interrupting his Saturday, and he would make like he was just having a horrible day. He says, oh, I'm so glad you called. I was at my last rope, and I was praying to God to, send me a sign, and I was about ready to just end things and take a leave of absence of this world. I'm so glad you called. Can you stay with me and talk with me for a while?
Well, there you go. That's going to do it. That's excellent, Brian. This will do it for the Patriot Trading News Hour. Remember the number to call anytime during the day. Bug Arlene and get yourself some metals. 800-951-0592. You in Arizona, you'll be hearing us over there in Arizona next Thursday and Friday when we cover for Joe again. By the way, you can always hear us at 3 o'clock Colorado time. The Front Range News Hour will be on today. So good luck, and we'll hear from you next time.